Hey gang, welcome back to another episode of Heroes and Videos. 9 out of 10 doctors say that you should find something better to do with your time than watch Heroes and Videos. But I say, don't pay any attention to those guys. Check out that 10th doctor, the one that says, hey, you should be watching Heroes and Videos every week. Maybe that doctor's Doctor Doom. Maybe it's Doctor Strange. Who knows? But anyway, thanks for tuning in. We're going to be looking at last week's comics. As I said, we'd love for you to hit the like button. If you wait to the end of the video, I'm going to have one of the more disturbing series that I've read this year. I've got a few independents in here with some Marvels, but that last issue we're going to talk about, things really kicked up a notch in, again, one of the more disturbing comic series I've read in a very long time. A lot of you all are into it, I think, and it's something I've just discovered, but would love for you to stick around and find out. Getting right into it, with no further ado, I've got a facsimile book that I bought this week, the Justice League of America number 21, I believe. The first mention of Crisis, really. Crisis on Earth 1. This was kind of the first big team crossover between the two universes, Earth 1 and Earth 2. I picked this up because I have this book. I think we've all had this, this thing happen to us where we know we've had a book over the years and yet you can't lay your hands on it. I'm sure it's not just one book like me. For you guys, it's probably many, many books. I had this book. I bought it as a back issue years and years ago, the original, thinking, oh, it's kind of neat. I wasn't necessarily a big DC guy, big fan of Justice League or Justice Society, but I thought, hey, that's kind of cool. It's one of the early appearances, early crossovers between Earth 1 and Earth 2. Over the years, I've tried to pick up some of those additional team-ups that started coming out annually. It's back to the Gardner Fox stuff where, a few heroes here and there, they split up into teams to take on whatever the big bad is or whatever the task is. I haven't read it in many years. I look forward to reading this one, but it's going to spur me to go through some boxes and see if I can find my copy of Justice League of America 21, the non-facsimile edition, and I will keep you tuned. Keep tuning into the channel. I will let you know if and when I find that book, but that is the facsimile edition of Justice League of America 21. Most of these I've been bagging up before I show them off. I didn't do that with this one. This is Marvel's new series or limited series 1776. Mixed feelings about this. It didn't really take me where I wasn't really sure what to expect with this, because it's written with the Revolutionary War and our 250th anniversary coming up in mind. Mild spoilers for the book. Ben Franklin shows up and has a scene or two with Doctor Strange in here. Those of you that remember the Doctor Strange storyline over the years, Ben Franklin in some earlier Doctor Strange issues was earlier, say 1970s. Doctor Strange issues was known to be quite the ladies' man. And so I was curious if a certain controversial scene, situation, relationship, I don't really know how to describe it, with the most famous president that was never president, Ben Franklin. Thank you, Firesign Theater. But if they were going to mention that he and Clea, however you say that, might have had a bit of a relationship years ago, but that doesn't come up so far. I wanted to be more impressed with this book. I'm going to give it a second shot. I'll give it an issue, a second issue to see. But the reason I didn't put this one in the in a bag and board to show you is I wanted you to see this beautiful. There we go. This beautiful, beautiful Steve Rude. I believe it's Steve Rude. That's a pretty distinct style. Absolutely. This is Steve Rude 1997. So I guess it's a Steve Rude pin-up cover thing from 20 years ago almost at this point, but it's just drawn in that Kirby style. You've got the big three of the Avengers. You've got the Thing representing the Fantastic Four, obviously the Silver Surfer and Hulk, drawn very Kirby-esque down there in the corner. I guess they're all kind of Kirby-esque on this. Just what a powerhouse of a team there, and just what a really cool pinup so I had to get it just for that. But I'm hoping the book gets better. I'm enjoying it, but it blends in some history with some Marvel stuff in the history. So I don't know how much of the history is historically accurate, I guess, and maybe I'm learning some history as I go. And that'll play into a book I have later in this, another indie that I have, or an indie I have later in this video. Next up is Hattush, or Batman Hattush, Batman 162. It's interesting because there's two Bat books coming out right now. Matt Fraction's new book, and Batman with the last volume's numbering. As I say, I think I'm calling this one Batman Hattush as opposed to Hush 2. Great David Finch cover. I believe it's David Finch that does that. Sorry, the channel is Heroes and Videos. So David Finch, you're my second favorite artist whose name starts with David Finch. Got to give kudos to David Fincher as my first favorite. After all, the title of the channel is Heroes and Videos. So got to give the edge, actually quite an edge, to David Fincher over David Finch. But this covers David Finch. I'm enjoying this book. Jim Lee doing the art, and I want to say Jeff Loeb. I should know this by now in terms of writing the book. It's like the original Hush. This one's kind of paint by the numbers in terms of, oh, this character's showing up next, or oh, these heroes are showing up in this one. It's still an enjoyable read, though. So not to me quite as fresh as the Fraction Batman book, but I'm still very much enjoying Hattush, and it seems like it's speeding along to a conclusion. Next up is New Avengers number 6. This is the Avengers book we've talked about that's more kind of like the old Secret Defenders, or even the original Defenders, in terms of you never know what characters are popping in and out of the lineup. They're all kind of going at each other on this cover. We've got Clea, the aforementioned Clea, without Ben Franklin in this issue. Namor, Carnage, Laura Kinney Wolverine, Winter Soldier, Black Widow. The mission of this book, or the hook for this book, is they're going after clones of the Illuminati. I think they're called the Killuminati, which doesn't have quite the same ring to it. This book's dropped off a little bit for me in the last issue or two, but it's still very interesting. Beautiful to look at. The art is something else. Lima, it looks like, is the artist last name there. I'm still on board. I'm still enjoying it, but it's losing a little bit of its focus. But I do love the interactions between these characters. Eddie Brock is Carnage. Laura Kinney is Wolverine. Bucky and Natasha always have some neat interaction going on, and of course Namor and Bucky also have the old Invaders connection. So it's pretty good read. It's kind of under the radar. I love any Avengers book, and that one, I am enjoying New Avengers. Next up, another group book, Fantastic Four. You see here, it's not a variant cover. This is actually the Black Cat is guest starring in Fantastic Four, and this one is a neat, like, girls' night out book. Ryan North's Fantastic Four continues to surprise and entertain us. You see there, she's trying. Felicia Hardy's trying to sneak away with Herbie and some other gadgets, and Sue Richards is there, invisible, in front of her here. In case you were wondering, I guess I should have left a space on the pop shelf back there. On top of those pops, maybe in the back there, I've got the Invisible Woman pop. I don't really, but let's just say I do. This is a great, like, kind of a girls' night out. It's Alicia Masters, Felicia Hardy, and then non-Isha, Sue Richards, in a kind of a girls' night out. Just a great fun book. This always, they're doing these great, each issue Fantastic Four is pretty much standalone book for the most part, but they all kind of connect, and that one's really cool, in that you get to see those ladies interact, and it's just a good fun read. Next up is more of the X-Men Age of Revelation, Iron and Frost, where we've got Tony Stark and Emma Frost rekindling sort of their relationship, or at least we're seeing these characters years into the future, X years in the future, 10 years in the future, however many years we're talking into the future in this X-Men crossover book. It's a good read. If you really enjoyed the White Queen and Iron Man and their relationship in the last Iron Man volume. You'll enjoy this book. It brings out, honestly, they're two great characters that work great together. There you go. They're like Reese's peanut butter cups, kind of, sort of. Except I don't recommend White Queen with Reese's peanut butter cups. Feels like most of the outfits that Emma wears are all white, and so I don't know if peanut butter cups and White Queen make for a good mix, but what do I know? Next up, the last couple books here are Independence. This is Red Book. I'm thinking from Dark Horse. I'm thinking this is a follow-up to Blue Book, which was a mini that they put out earlier this year that was real-life stories, or at least they seem to be factual stories from like UFO files, that sort of thing, government files. That's part of the fun of books like this. This one is being a red book. It's not Democrat and Republican, red and blue. It's red back in terms of like the communist scare in the 1950s, the Soviet Union, that kind of thing. That's why this one's Red Book. It's a good book. It's a really good book if the stories in it are factual, and it reads that way, as if these are actual, these are actual reports, Russian reports and whatnot from, potentially could be third encounters, that kind of thing, or close encounters of third kind. It's a less entertaining book if those stories are not true, or at least not if the stories are not true, if the reports aren't accurate. So I have to assume that what we're reading are actual reports. So whether the reports are true or not, it still makes for some very interesting and entertaining reading. And now last up, we have that disturbing book that I mentioned. I have not read the Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, the earlier books in this series. I have been picking up Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring. This is number 4. A variant cover. The book's not quite as cartoony as this cover makes it seem. It's a pretty disturbing book. Things kick into high gear in this issue. I don't want to give any spoilers. Maybe I'll do a deep dive on it, on the whole series at some point, or on this miniseries at some point. Those of you that probably followed the earlier series understand how dark this book can get. But it involves a serial killer, and honestly, at this point in the book, I'm not entirely sure whether the serial killer is the protagonist or the antagonist of this series. So I'm leaning towards antagonist. I mean, obviously that's my first reaction. The protagonist, or what I feel is the protagonist in this book, certainly the point of view for the earliest issues in this series, treads into some troubled waters, I'll say, in this issue, without giving too much away. But I really thought I knew where this book was going. Now I'm not so sure. So, but really good. If you haven't picked this up, please do. It's really good. Again, disturbing. I don't necessarily want to read it when I want something light and cheery. It's more, like I say, it's about a serial killer. So take that with a grain of salt. So that is it for this week's new comics, or last week's new comics. Thanks for tuning in. As always, keep reading comics, keep going to see movies, and be kind to each other.